She had barely moved for 7 days, in a delirium brought on by grief, by the stillbirth that had left her catatonic, her days and nights blended. Edmund nursing her, his own bewildered sadness set aside. Miriam coasted to a stop, made adjustments to her position. The air filled with the pungent smell from the nearby dairy farm, giving life to her senses, an awakening that reminded her she was alive. A flap of paper caught her eye, a flyer on the signpost, the Ministry of Agriculture, a meeting in September. She knew what this was about, a grand plan, her midwife muttering, "These times, these times," and Miriam in her state not knowing if she was referring to her or the events in Europe. She peered at the flyer, which welcomed farmers and gardeners alike, anyone interested in the future of their country. "It's coming," she told Edmund a month ago, when she was still able to take in the world around her. "What we hear is only a fraction of what they know. The chatter in the village like constant static." "It won't come to that, love." Edmund, so sure, as if he had a direct line to those in power. "You think they have nothing better to do than prepare for a war that isn't coming?" They were jittery at the Women's Voluntary Service meeting she'd attended, intense on the prospects of war. Now this, the ministry telling them what to plant. It was hard to imagine Edmund giving up his dahlias in favour of potatoes. They were still flourishing, his dahlias, the arum lilies long gone, the hydrangeas muted, drying on the stems. She stepped off the bicycle and walked until the beating in her chest slowed. After 5 minutes, she spotted a stile where she sat after leaning her bicycle into the hedge. She rubbed her legs as if trying to keep awake the muscles she'd so abruptly activated. What would Edmund think of her, out roaming the countryside like this? A week of nursing her back to health, only to lose her to a failing airplane. She pulled the apple from her bag and ate it with her eyes closed, the world suddenly too much to take in. The deep crunch of each bite, the vexing wasp that had caught the scent of the sweet juice that dripped on her hand, a distant crow that seemed overly bothered about something. All sparks to remind her that life goes on. She concentrated on these sensations as she took long, slow breaths, because she wasn't sure she could trust herself to remain conscious, her inclination so clearly driven to another state these days. The airplane. The quiet meant the engine was no longer running. She stood, her mind alert with no thought now to return to her bed. She freed the bicycle from the bushes, hooked her shoe on the pedal and pushed herself along until she could get her balance, thankful for the downward slope. There were things to be thankful for, even these days, even if it was a downward slope in the road. 1st September, 1938. Imbalance. The sky, the cerulean sky. What sort of word was that, cerulean? How did it come to mind as he lay on the grass? Had he read it somewhere, this way of describing the sky? It was his aunt's influence, he knew, she who would consider him a writer. Her confidence in him pushed him to comb through his vocabulary this morning, plucking words that might please her. He would soon see her, and that alone made him think this way, dredging up words usually reserved for the poets. Frank was thinking too much, eyeing the sky, his mind in the clouds. That's what she would tell him, his mind always in the clouds. Anticipating the conversation he would have with her, knowing what she wanted of him. Happiness, nothing more. He would finally tell her about his airplane that was in the shed, remind her that she was to join him at the air show in Croydon in 2 weeks. She would meet up with friends for lunch, she'd told him. They would have a lovely time.